Tonight, we talk to the family of a missing baby in San Antonio after a new set of charges against the child's mother, what she's now facing, and why the family fears the baby is dead.
Plus,
she never applied for unemployment. She never received any benefits. Now the government wants money from her.
Receive something like this in the mail just blew me away.
And she's not alone. Step-by-step instructions on what you can do if this happens to you.
And
clouds, sunshine, and light winds. I'm tracking the next cold front that's moving into the area and my analysis on our next chance for showers.
This is Fox News at 9.
The jury in the above entitled matter find the defendant guilty.
First on Fox, convicted on all charges after weeks of arguments and 13 hours of jury deliberation. Now, former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin is now guilty for the murder of George Floyd last year. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Jamie Virgin. Ryan has the night off.
And I'm Camilla Brambaldi. It's one of the most closely watched murder trials in history. After nearly a year of marching for justice in George Floyd's name, many celebrating this moment as a victory in our justice system. That's the crowd outside the courthouse today as they got the news of the verdict. Live now in Minneapolis, where a crowd is still gathered there tonight celebrating the jury's decision. Many waving signs honoring George Floyd, reading Black Lives Matter, and Floyd's family saying this tonight.
Today, we are able to breathe again. I want to thank all the protesters, all the attorneys who stepped up, all the activists who stepped up, and many who think they're not activists but advocates. Thank you all. Amen. Because justice for George means freedom for all.
A lot of people weighing in tonight on the verdict from San Antonio all the way to the White House. President Biden and other lawmakers very vocal about today's development. As chief political correspondent Scott Thuman tells us, they say there's still a lot of work to be done.
Most men and women who wear the badge serve their communities honorably. But those few who fail to meet that standard must be held accountable, and they were today.
President Biden, with the first vice president of color by his side, both calling today a relief and in the same breath imploring those on the streets to be peaceful.
We are all a part of George Floyd's legacy, and our job now is to honor it and to honor him.
The president, who's come to know George Floyd's family, spoke to them on the phone soon after the verdict was read.
We were watching every second of this, and the vice president, all of us, and we're all so relieved.
The Congressional Black Caucus immediately gathered in the shadow of the U.S. Capitol, saying they can exhale, though only temporarily.
Since George Floyd's murder of a year ago, over 100 people have died at the hands of police. We need to pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act.
But Speaker Pelosi voicing frustration. Those efforts for more legislative reform have stalled in the Senate.
Unless we can change the law, this will be an episode.
Change in Washington, at least today, may be most evident at Black Lives Matter Plaza across from the White House, where almost a year ago, President Trump's appearance sparked violent clashes as he had a path cleared for a photo op in front of a church that burned the night before amid the chaos. More reaction from here on Capitol Hill. Senator Tim Scott, the only black Republican senator, said that the jury reached the, quote, right decision and that he too was absolutely relieved by that verdict. On Capitol Hill, I'm Scott Thuman.
Melissa Vega at the live desk, where it's now being reported Derek Chauvin has been transferred to a Minnesota correctional facility about 25 miles east of downtown Minneapolis. We've also been following some live pictures. This is a live look outside a church in Washington, D.C. A small group gathered there, and also the Justice Department issuing a statement on behalf of the U.S. Attorney General a short time ago, saying the jury has fulfilled its civic duty, adding while the state's prosecution was successful, I know that nothing can fill the void that the loved ones of George Floyd have felt since his death. Now, the Justice Department also announcing tonight the federal civil rights investigation into the death of George Floyd is still ongoing. That's the latest from the Life Desk.
Today, the guilty verdict, it's showing us that our cries are being heard.
Tonight, some in San Antonio say they are able to rest easier. After hearing today's verdict in the Derek Chauvin murder trial, Fox San Antonio's Robin Oginye brings us their perspectives tonight.
How are you feeling?
Such relief.
A weight has been lifted off the shoulders of many who say they feel their voices have finally been heard after today's verdict.
Find the defendant guilty.
We are not anti-police. We're anti-police brutality. We're anti a system that does not hold its officers accountable for using deadly force against citizens when it's not necessary.
San Antonio had its own protest when George Floyd was killed in May of last year. What comes from the Derek Chauvin trial is something that these activists say is a lesson for us here at home.
What San Antonio needs to take away from that is accountability here locally as well. And it's wonderful to see this verdict play out, but we need more verdicts.
The jury deliberation of the trial was considered quick, around 10 hours. Law experts say that usually proves to be positive for the prosecution, but it hasn't always been so for high-profile cases that had similar deliberation periods. Rodney King's case ended in officers being acquitted. George Zimmerman was acquitted in the shooting of Trayvon Martin. Our own former district attorney saying cases like this one have to be handled with care to maintain legal integrity.
I'm always concerned with trying any allegation against a citizen in the court of public opinion versus the court of law, because people start formulating their opinions. I'm not saying that happened here. I'm just saying I think that's a lot of people's concerns.
Moving forward, San Antonio's momentum isn't slowing down, and the conversations that started because of George Floyd will continue.
I think that reform is a conversation that's at the table now. and it's not that it hasn't always been, it should have been. But reform and the conversation about the criminal justice system and what impact that has on our communities directly, that is something that I hope to see is carried out in the future of policy.
Sheriff Salazar sent us a statement about today's verdict. It says, quote, "Justice has been served. My hope is that the verdict reached and the changes being brought about bring solace to Mr. Floyd's family and the community at large," unquote. Now, in just a few moments, we are going to head downtown. As remember, it was the site of many Black Lives Matter protests from this past summer. We'll show you a live picture of what is or what may not be going on down there, and you can join us for that on News 4 San Antonio at 10. Robin Oginye, Fox News at 9. Yami.
Thank you, Robin. Our coverage on this trial and the aftermath continues this week as we await the announcement on sentencing. Continue to follow us online at foxsanantonio.com and tomorrow morning on Fox News First.
Another major legal case developing right now. Lawyers on both sides of the Sutherland Springs federal trial gave their closing arguments today. Lawyers representing the families of victims of the shooting say if the Air Force reported Devin Kelley's previous criminal convictions of domestic violence to the FBI, he would not be able to purchase the rifle he used in the massacre. Air Force lawyers argue Kelley was well aware of ways to buy guns without having a background check run, including from private sellers, gun shows, or even illegally. The judge is expected to rule if the Air Force is liable in the next few weeks.
Now to some breaking news on the South Side. 2 people are dead in a shooting police are describing as cryptic. Fox San Antonio's Darian Trotter is live from the scene at Clutter Avenue near Mission San Jose down on the South Side.
And Yami, the work of police continues right now. You can see the area is sealed off as investigators focus on the house about 3 doors down. We have some video we want to show you taken from earlier today. This all started around 6 o'clock. Police say they were called here for reports of shots fired. They tell us that the 49-year-old shooting suspect entered the backyard of the home here and confronted the homeowner, 37-year-old homeowner, and a friend. They were in the shed when the shooting suspect opened fire, striking and killing the homeowner. That's when police say the homeowner's wife came out. She returned fire, but she wasn't able to hit the shooter. Police say when they arrived, that 49-year-old shooting suspect opened fire on them. They returned fire, striking and killing him. Here's something interesting. Police McManus, he said that something strange, something weird was going on in the backyard. Here's his description in his own words.
But it's very cryptic. There were some weird things that he was doing back there. I don't know if he was waiting for police to arrive or what, but there was some strange things that he was doing back there before the police arrived.
And Police Chief McManus would not go into detail. We are told that the homeowner's friend and wife were not injured. Police have not yet said if the shooting suspect and the victim, in this case the homeowner, if they knew each other. The investigation continues tonight. Back to you.
That's a significant amount of heroin anywhere.
Meth, coke, heroin. What else the DEA took off the streets during a major drug bust right here in San Antonio?
Her tragic story began 1 year ago. Now, the new way Vanessa Guillen's life and legacy are being honored that you may just see on your next trip across the state. But first, let's head over to Alex for your weather right now.
Well, things got a little windy today. Cold front came blowing into San Antonio. Strong gusts will continue overnight. We've got another strong cold front headed our way. We'll tell you when that's going to get here. And
making headlines at 9, another deadly officer-involved shooting, this time on the city's north side. This one, a Via Transit officer shot a man with a gun while on a bus near a gas station at San Pedro and West Almos. There were about 5 other passengers on that bus. None were hurt. An update on last night's breaking news. Bexar County Sheriff's deputies were able to finally arrest this man, Travis Thompson, outside his home on Southern Oaks on the far north side. Deputies were there for hours trying to get him to come out of the home after they went out there on a domestic violence call. Helotes police arrested this woman, Tionia Brown, on forgery charges. They say she tried to sell her ex-boyfriend's house behind his back, even creating a fake email account to have legal documents sent to her without his knowledge.
It's a symbol. It's a symbol that it's happened, it's real, and it will continue to happen without legislation.
Another symbol to honor late Army Specialist Vanessa Guillen, who was murdered by a fellow Fort Hood soldier 1 year ago this week. Lawmakers had filed a bill to designate a portion of State Highway 3 in Houston as the Vanessa Guillen Memorial Highway.
I don't want my credit ruined by this.
She was asked to pay back money she never received and never even asked for. The latest person falling victim to unemployment payback woes and why her case is a bit different than the rest.
James is not with us anymore.
She fears the worst about her missing great nephew. The new charges the baby's mother is facing.
San Antonio's News with Ryan Wolf, Camila Rambaldi, Chief Meteorologist Alex Garcia, and investigative reporter Yanni Virgen. This is Fox News at 9.
She could have prevented all this. We could have dealt with it, and she could have already gotten whatever she has coming to her.
Baby James Chida's family is pushing for answers after a grand jury today indicted his mother on a charge of tampering with evidence. As the days go by without any sign of the 1-year-old, the family's losing hope of finding him alive. Fox San Antonio's Alejandra Guzman has more on why the family is fearing for the worst.
James is not with us anymore. I don't feel like James is with us anymore.
A feeling Marisol says she can't shake since her nephew has been missing for months. Last time baby James was seen was January 4th by his 20-year-old mother, Delaney Chidas' side.
I spoke to her on the phone a couple weeks ago. She still said, I can't talk to you about it.
Besides saying she gave the now 21-month-old up for adoption, the young mom has remained very tight-lipped about her son's disappearance.
Why did she decide to run? From the February 22nd or 23rd all the way to March 16th, that's a lot of time away. If you're not guilty of something, then Why are you hiding?
Chidas was arrested March 16th and charged with child abandonment. Since then, her case was sealed March 26th, meaning the public cannot receive information. Chidas was being held on a $250,000 bond, but a judge reduced it to $150,000 April 13th. Today, a grand jury indicted Chidas for tampering with evidence, a third-degree felony punishable by up to 2 to 10 years in prison.
It makes me sick to my stomach.
Madi says she's got more questions than answers.
How do you go from that to this now? How do you decide this is not the life you want for your child anymore?
These are just a few pictures Madi says Chidas deleted.
It's like she wanted to erase him out of her life.
Memories she keeps sending Chidas, hoping she'll break her silence and tell police where James is.
I'm just broken, and it hurts.
Alejandra Usman, Fox News at 9.
Chidas' child abandonment charge is still pending. She was supposed to visit with family today, but canceled. We reached out to the district attorney's office, who said they cannot comment on pending cases. We're also waiting to hear back from her attorney.
Right now, we continue to monitor the crisis at the border and have an update on the temporary shelter for unaccompanied children right here in San Antonio. Tonight, more than 1,900 teenage boys are staying at the Expo Hall. 3 weeks after the site first opened, we are told 13 boys have been reunited with their families so far. The Department of Health and Human Services, which operates the sites, says they expect those numbers to go up now that case managers have had time to contact and verify family members.
And we are following more breaking news. Protesters taking to the streets right now after a 15-year-old girl was shot and killed in an officer-involved shooting. Now, this is happening in Columbus, Ohio. Right now, information is very limited, but family members are saying the person shot and killed is 15-year-old Micaiah Bryant. Now, we also have some video from the shooting. What we know from police is they responded to an attempted stabbing report just before 3:45 in the afternoon. The mayor of Columbus saying what happened at the scene still unclear. We do know the teen died about 5:30 tonight at a hospital. The mayor of Columbus also saying they're working to review the body-worn camera footage of what happened just as soon as possible. That's the latest from the live desk.
My reaction was, is this for real?
A shocking notice received by mail for the San Antonio retiree leaves her with unanswered questions. She's the latest in a long list of our viewers who are being asked to pay back unemployment payments. What's different in her case is that she never applied or received benefits. Not sure what to do next, she reached out to Fox Antonio's problem solver, Darian Trotter.
But this is freezer jam.
Sue Visser's career as an educator ended 10 years ago. Since then, she's been enjoying retirement with her husband.
So to receive something like this in the mail just blew me away.
She's talking about this overpayment notice from the Texas Workforce Commission. Problem is, she didn't apply for unemployment benefits and she didn't receive a dime. Alarmed by what she believes is fraud, she reached out to the problem solver.
Because I didn't know what to do. You cannot talk to a human being with the Texas Workforce Commission. You can send an email or leave a voice message.
According to the notice, she's being asked to pay back $3,700. Monthly payments of $140 are to start in just 2 days.
We're on a fixed income. Where am I getting $3,700? If I don't pay this, am I going to have a collection agency after me and my husband for this?
We reached out to TWC to try and get to the bottom of Visser's problem.
A case like this is almost always a case of fraud. So somebody has stolen her identity and applied for benefits.
James Burnson says since the start of the pandemic, TWC has seen a dramatic increase of identity theft fraud in which criminals are applying for unemployment payments.
In the year since the pandemic began, we've had 373,000 of these cases.
The first thing you need to do if you've become a victim is to notify TWC through its online fraud portal. That will allow staffers to begin an investigation and work toward clearing things up.
So I'm frightened by it. I don't want my credit ruined by this.
After we got involved, we were able to help give Visser and her husband some much-needed peace of mind.
She will not be on the hook for that money because it is fraud.
Darian Trotter, Fox News at 9.
While the number of fraud cases has increased, TWC has been able to block 80% of cases before any money is sent out. If you are a victim, we have placed step-by-step instructions on how to clear things up. Just go to our website, foxsanantonio.com, for all that information. And as always, our problem solver is here to help you. Just call our tip line 210-476-1099 or email us at problemsolver@foxsanantonio.com. And you can also get in touch with Darian on social media.
Let's look at the latest COVID-19 data in Bexar County tonight. Metro Health announced 394 new cases. Unfortunately, there is one new death to the report. And right now, 237 people are being treated for the virus in local hospitals. Now, here we go.
And now, first warning weather with Chief Meteorologist Alex Garcia.
Well, we were talking about a little bit of a cold front coming through this afternoon, and sure enough, it came barreling through. We said it wouldn't bring much in the way of rain, and it didn't, but it did bring a lot of wind. There's a look at the current satellite right now. You can barely see that front just kind of diving in here. Got here just about on time, right about 6 o'clock this evening. And, of course, the winds behind that coming out of the northwest, and that's helping push a lot of that cooler air in here. We call that cold air advection. Tonight on the World Card Cam, it is a beautiful night. We're looking at clear skies. Northeasterly winds are about 13. Temperature is 66 degrees. We've got a 41 dew point, so that means the air has dried out a little bit, but, you know, it's still got a little bit of some moisture still sitting in there. Earlier today, we were up pretty close to the 80s. Now we're down into the 60s. 66 out at the airport, 70 being the warm spot. Over at Stinson Field, they were pretty close to 85, 86 a little bit earlier this afternoon. Now tonight, that front sits right there. All that wind is up here, up behind it, and it is moving down toward the south. That's the pressure gradient. It kind of leans like this, so all that wind comes into the area. Temperature is going to take a nosedive as well because we've got cold air moving in. We're going from the 60s all the way down to 51 by 2 o'clock in the morning. So if we're at 51 by 2 o'clock in the morning and that front continues to push southward and brings in that cooler air, bringing clouds back up into the hill country, well, that means we're in for a little bit of a chilly start for the day. Jacket alert is out. That's right, jacket and sweater alerts out. We're looking maybe 44 up in Fair Oaks Ranch, 48 China Grove, Alamo Heights, Somerset, Von Ormy, and Elmendorf. And if you're in the hill country, low 40s and maybe even upper 30s. You may have to pull out the extra jacket out for that one. Well below the normal to start the day. And then you add the winds to that thing. Oh my, look at these wind gusts, 23, 25, 23 miles an hour, all the way going up into noon. So it's going to be a chilly start. On top of that, the winds are going to make it feel a lot colder than what it really is, so be prepared. By noon, we should be warming up to near 61, and then by 2 o'clock, we're up there near 67. 70s a little bit later on in the afternoon, and that 10-day forecast says, get ready, we're going back into the 90s next week. We're talking about rain and big storms coming up.
Brightening and beautifying San Antonio one stone at a time, what a local artist is doing that makes us San Antonio proud.
The lack of rain causing area lake levels to drop. Just how much and how this could impact your watering days.
Kilos upon kilos of drugs taken off the streets by the DEA. How many were arrested in the South Texas drug bust, including...
This is just one of many ongoing investigations that we have in the groups, and it culminated in the arrest on Wednesday morning.
A Fox follow-up on a major drug bust we told you about last week that resulted in 22 arrests in San Antonio, Del Rio, and Laredo, and they're all facing federal drug trafficking charges. Tonight, we go on the front lines with the DEA.
We executed a number of arrest warrants here in the San Antonio area, specifically targeting a drug trafficking group that was involved in the trafficking of methamphetamine, cocaine, and heroin, with the majority of that narcotics being distributed here in the San Antonio region.
During this investigation, authorities seized approximately 24 kilos of meth, 6 kilos of heroin, 3 of cocaine, 4 firearms, $100,000 in cash, along with other assets.
Most of those individuals were arrested on federal charges, although we did arrest 5 on state narcotics charges.
Working jointly with their partner agencies, the 2-year-long investigation led to the arrest of 22 of those 19 right here in San Antonio, taking a significant amount of drugs off the streets, according to the DEA.
The individuals on the street will sell it in gram quantities, and a kilogram of cocaine equals 1,000 grams. Then when you break down the dosage units, it gets even more. So you've got thousands upon thousands of dosage units of the cocaine. The heroin, over 6 kilograms of heroin, that's a significant amount of heroin anywhere.
Uncut heroin, cut down and diluted multiple times and sold to those battling addiction.
It was directly linked to Mexico, but they were not using San Antonio as a transshipment location. These narcotics were destined for San Antonio and for distribution in San Antonio proper and the surrounding cities right here.
Now, an additional 6 people we're told tonight were arrested and are facing state charges in your neighborhoods, on the streets. Fox San Antonio and the DEA will keep you informed and safe.
And back to the live desk, the big news on the vaccine front. We are learning tonight vaccine advisors to the CDC are expected to recommend the Johnson & Johnson vaccine be administered again under restrictions. Come Friday, it's expected the advisory panel will have specific recommendations about which people may be best suited to take the single vaccine dose. Researchers think based on risk-benefit analysis, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine should be returned to use in the U.S. The vaccine was put on pause after blood clots appeared in a handful of women and at least one man who received it. Now, among the medical experts who believe the vaccine will come back on the market with restrictions after Friday's meeting is Dr. Anthony Fauci. Camilla?
Okay, Melissa, thank you. San Antonio is full of art and culture that help give the city life in many public spaces. One local artist works to beautify all parts of San Antonio with his mosaics. And as John Elizondo shows us tonight, he's making us San Antonio proud.
You might not know who Oscar Alvarado is. Chances are you've either seen his mosaics, passed by them unknowingly, or even sat on one. Now featured on the north side to the south side to the heart of the city, Alvarado has left his creative mark all over his hometown.
San Antonio has always been a place where communities come together.
And what better place to come together than city parks or bus stops? Many of his pieces adding color and life all around San Antonio.
I think that enhancement of public spaces is necessary. Otherwise we're just a plain, generic, bland strip center on the outskirts of any town, USA.
Some of his most seen work is at Hemisphere's Yanaguana Garden, featuring a beautiful panther created out of thousands of glass beads.
I went every day after I was done with the job, and I secretly watch people see my stuff and say something like, "This is why I come to San Antonio."
But his proudest work can be found along a half-mile stretch of Sasamora, where he's able to tell the stories of his family through his art at 3 bus stops.
I told the story of when I lived in that neighborhood in '68. So there's a 57 Chevy car my dad used to have. There's a C5A. My dad got a job at Kelly. There is a couple dancing in front of La Michoacana Market, which used to be Arturo's Ballroom, and it's my mom and dad.
Each mosaic accompanied with a simple phrase in Spanish and English.
I wanted to use simple phrases to offer inspiration with the imagery, and then let people go take it from there.
You might not know who Oscar Alvarado is, but he works to help beautify San Antonio.
I think that having a piece of art or something that's beautiful along the way helps make your existence within the city a better existence, and we're all happier people.
Oscar Alvarado making us San Antonio proud. Oscar's hoping to beautify San Antonio with some more big projects in the future, which includes creating a mosaic on the campus of Texas A&M San Antonio. And do you know someone who makes us San Antonio proud? Well, I want to tell their story. Just reach out to me on my social media pages.
Okay, John, great story happening now. With the lack of recent rainfall, area lake levels are dropping. The level on Medina Lake has dropped to 34%, full down from 71% this time last year. If this downward trend continues, local farmers will really feel the effects.
It's going to definitely affect our income. It's going to decrease. And when we are irrigating, we're spending a lot of energy time and money to do this. It's not free.
With rain in the forecast by the end of the week, lake levels may come up. Yes, ICYMI, Alex, we really need that rain, right?
We need the rain, that's right.
Yeah,
and
we do.
Lake Medina, everybody loves going out there. I can't believe it's going down again. That happened a few years ago, right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it reminds me of several years ago when we had that big drought. And, you know, it was a La Nina that really caused it back then, and it's La Nina that was still the problem now. The only thing that we're looking at a little different right now is La Nina is transitioning out to neutral, but it's still there, and it's still causing a little bit of an issue. Right now, front comes through, no moisture to work with. Not any rain showing up. The rain dial itself remaining low tonight, remaining low on Wednesday, but Thursday looks like that's going to be our best opportunity from rain from about Thursday 9 o'clock to about 9 p.m. A good 12 hours of opportunity to maybe see some rain. I don't think it's going to be enough, though, to really impact Lake Medina. But let's take a look. Dry air sliding in at this hour. We've got humidity building up down toward the east and southeast, and that is where we're going to be watching the rain. This is what Friday looks like compared to today. We've got plenty of moisture available. Front comes in, starts to work with that thing late Friday into Saturday morning. So that means late Friday afternoon into the evening hours into Saturday early, we could see some pretty big showers and thunderstorms. Now on Thursday, this is the area severe storms. I don't think so. It's all general storms. So we maybe could see some general storms kind of fire up on Thursday. But Friday, totally different situation. This is the energy to make some big storms. I mean those big severe storms with large hail and damaging winds. This is the energy at Friday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Front just barely getting over here, the energy building up. And then as we go through, we'll be watching the rain develop. We'll see it develop out to the west. It will move across San Antonio, but notice that is where we're looking for the bigger storms. Did you see that pop up right there in the Houston area? That's the area that we're seeing the most energy build up. That's it. That's going to be the best area for storms. We're going to be on the backside of this, which means, yeah, we'll see some rain, but potentially we may not see enough to really have much of an impact. Here's model number 1 giving us 16 raindrops, a little bit more rain out to the east, out there toward Gonzales. This is the American model, the more kind of robust model. The European model continues to say you're not going to see much rain down here in South Texas along with that front. It could come through mostly dry or very low. So here's what the 21-day trend looks like. We don't see any big rain coming up this weekend. Our next opportunity comes next Saturday, and even that looks weaker than what we're looking at for this weekend.
The gift of life, what one local woman did to save another woman's life, and the connection they now share.
Helping save lives one blood donation at a time. The local clothing brands stepping up to help and make a difference. New at 9, blood donations are at an extreme low, and to help with the shortage, the South Texas Blood and Tissue Center teaming up with Grunt Style Apparel. They hosted a drive today at its headquarters. Grunt Style is a patriotic and veteran-operated clothing brand for first responders and military veterans.
We've been committed to this for the last year, and we'll be hosting it as often as possible, and it's open to the public, and it's something that we'll continue to do for the near future, for the future.
And for more information on future blood drives and how you can support the South Texas Blood and Tissue Center, just look for this story on foxsanantonio.com. A local woman is helping give the gift of life as she donates part of her liver to save someone else. 22-year-old Genevieve Larson underwent surgery today at University Hospital. She donated her liver to the 24-year-old sister of a friend from high school after finding out about the need for a live donor on Facebook.
I really just couldn't look past it, something I felt in my heart that I really needed to do.
Genevieve tells us the donor recipient had been waiting for at least 5 years for the perfect match and encourages others to sign up to be an organ donor as well. And I got the chance to chat with her yesterday, and just such a selfless act. Amazing.
Amazing story and the great things social media can do.
Yes.
Alex, the pollen, what's going on today?
Well, you know, we've been battling mold and oak here for a while. We've had some strong winds coming in tomorrow. Let's hope some of that kind of blows it out of here.
Now, coming up, the NFL draft is nearing, and it looks like the Cowboys will be taking part, most of them anyway. Which player will be sitting out for the
live. This is Fox News at 9.
It's now time to check in with our friends over at News 4 San Antonio. Robert Price standing by in the newsroom with a preview of what's coming up at 10. Good evening, Robert.
Good evening, Camilla. Good evening, everyone. They call themselves the Uber of lawn care, and they are looking to hire. Many of the vendors signing up to join GreenPal have been forced out of work due to the pandemic. Well, tonight at 10 on News 4, our job tracker is putting the spotlight on this app, which is now offering services right here in San Antonio. Camilla, Yami, Alex.
Okay, Robert, thank you for that. And Yami, I know we're crossing our fingers here with this pollen situation.
With the win, Alex, just get rid of the oak. Just get rid of the oak, please.
Major request.
If we could just get rid of the oak. Just blow it out of here. That's all we need. But, you know, the pressure is something else you got to watch out, too. Take a look. We're going to have some pressure changes, and you could be feeling the weather all the way into the weekend and over the weekend as well, as that goes up and down. For tomorrow, okay, oak and molder in the moderate category. We're hoping the wind kind of blows some of that oak out of here and maybe clears it out. Meanwhile, temperatures will be chilly in the morning. Jacket alerts out. 46 in the morning, nice in the afternoon at 71.
Okay, Alex, thank you. Chuck is here now, and I think a pretty exciting day for the Cowboys, right?
Oh, yeah, the Cowboy fans are ready to go, right?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they're all in terms of a squad and how they want to pursue this season. So that was a little bit of interesting news today for sure. All right, while the Cowboys, though, will be a player short for the first 2 games of the season, we'll also talk about some other Cowboys news as well. And the hype train continues for a former Wagner star possibly on his way to a prestigious NBA award.
You're watching Maximum Sports.
Phase 1 of the NFL's offseason program started this week, and if you were wondering if the Cowboys were going to be one of those teams that decided as a group to do the whole thing virtually, like a lot of other NFL teams, nope, they are not opting out as a team. Not according to the Dallas Morning News. Players Association had advised its members to stay away from team facilities because of safety concerns. Really, though, much ado about nothing, considering these things are optional anyway, except for guys who have bonuses tied to these activities. All right, off the field, the Cowboys DB, Rashard Robinson, is going to have to sit out the first 2 games of the regular season for violating the NFL's policy on performance-enhancing substances. Rashard has been with 5 teams in his 4-year pro career, actually played in 4 games with the Cowboys a season ago, and made 3 starts.
Cowboys to the Max is sponsored by Thomas J. Henry.
Well, it's been a pretty good week for Cameron Ward, huh? First, he's named as a finalist for the FCS Jerry Rice Award, which is given to the Freshman Player of the Year. And today, he's been named the Southland Conference's Freshman of the Year. Cameron also bagged 2 National Player of the Week awards and also set a record for most TD passes in a 6-game stretch with 24. May 3rd, by the way, is when we find out if he wins the Rice Award as well. Well, the annual media blitz is starting to ramp up for postseason awards in the NBA, although I don't know that former Wagner star Jordan Clarkson is going to actually need any of that hype in order to win the NBA 6th Man of the Year award. He is certainly the clubhouse leader without all the bells and whistles anyway. Jordan's Utah Jazz far and away the best regular season team in the NBA right now, and Jordan is leading the league's scoring off the bench. USA Today had done a really big write-up on him recently, and NBA TV is bringing his story to life as well. Jordan's old coach at Wagner is now at Temple College and said Jordan's always been good about adapting his game for the good of the team.
Sophomore years when he made the varsity, and he kind of played a similar role to what he's playing right now at Utah Jazz. He was kind of our 6th, 7th man coming off the bench with another guy, and he really excelled at that role. And probably about the second half of his sophomore year, you could really start to see him blossom. And I saw that transition happening during the middle of his sophomore year. And then he hit what, you hope a lot of young players hit. He hit a growth spurt between his sophomore and junior year. So it went from about 6'1" to like 6'4" pretty quickly. Still kept all his guard skills and just kind of went from there.
Well, still not sure what caused Jakar Sampson to get a little bent with Patty Mills, but I mean, come on. When is the last time anybody got bent with Patty Mills over anything? Still nothing from the NBA in terms of if there are going to be fines or suspensions, but I would imagine we'll hear something within the next day or two. tape, Jakar pushed Patty from behind, and then the two got tangled up on the other end of the floor. The next time, the ball changed possession.
Yeah, I mean, that was crazy. I'm not sure how it started or anything, but I mean, obviously we know Patty, and I mean, one of the nicest guys in the league, so I don't know how it started, but we always got Pat's back.
Well, the Spurs back in action tomorrow night against the Miami Heat. It's a home game, and it's also on Bally Sports starting at 7:30. Very good matchup tonight on the Diamond. Highlands with only one loss in 27-5A. Edison has yet to lose in that league. The Bears go all heavy metal in the first inning. Natalie Costareno starting the scoring with a shot in the 5-hole. Kayla Sibley scores to make it a 1-0 ball game. The Bears ain't done yet. Ava Moreno standing in the box like a champ. Inside out's the ball. Here come two more. Natalie scores, so does Jerry Mencius. That young lady smoked a double. It was 4-0 Bears at that point. Owls got out of the inning thanks to a great play at short by Sophia Medina. But right now, it is 11-3 in terms of Edison leading this ball game in the fourth inning. Up next, more stick sports. Astros and Rangers both on the road. We will discuss right after this.
Hi, I'm Forrest Whitley. You're watching Maximum Sports.
This is the Thomas J.
Well, the Astros get a bunch of their protocol guys back tonight in time to start their series with the Colorado Rockies. May have wanted to sit this one out, too. Look at that. 35 degrees in Denver at game time. Martin Maldonado looking pretty loose, however. Luis Garcia got a double play from his defense, and Maldonado cutting down Ramil Tapia right there. We had no score into the fifth. Didn't look like anybody wanted to hit at this point, including Garcia's counterpart, John Gray, grabbed some bench. Ended the frame. The Astros finally break through in the sixth thanks to Carlos Correa going the other way with an extra base knock. Uncle Mike comes around to score on the play. Michael Brantley. Astros trying to beat the Rockies for a 10th straight time, but they are trailing now 2-1 in the seventh inning. All right, that's all the time we have for you this evening on Maximum Sports. Thanks for watching. First thing in the morning, it's Fox News First at 5 a.m. See ya.